the computer will generate all the corner point. This is how the computer corner point occurs at the intersection of constraints, and computer figured it out all the corner point, and then enumerate the approach using calculate the profit of each corner point and find the maximum or minimum. So trying to find the optimal corner point. So linear programming case, if you draw the constraint feasible area, only the possible optimal solution will be the corner point. Redundant constraint is sometimes constraint has a redundant constraint. So if you have a constraint in this one, and this area automatically satisfied all this constraint, right? And all this constraint. So sometimes you have a constraint or multiple constraints. Some of them is redundant constraint. So you can just get rid of this constraint, but your solution will be still the same. And slack and surplus, yeah. Binding constraint is previously what we see is previous example. We have this shape of the visible area, and then the solution was here, right? Which means this point is on the constraint line, this line, and then a constraint of this line. Which means again, this point is on the borderline of constraint this one and this one, but not on this one. So this point has some room to get under this constraint, but this and this is on the borderline, which means you are using all the resources of this line and this line. So I think this is the, as I remember, this was a assembly hour, this was a storage constraint, and this is the inspection. So which means this solution will use all the inspection hour and all the storage, but is not using all the assembly. So this case we call this inspection and the storage constraint is binding constraint, because we are using all of the resource. So we call it binding. And then unbinding constraint is assembly, because I'm not using all the assembly hour. So that assembly hour constraint is unbinding constraint. Surplus and slack is positive or negative, the slack, but usually we use the slack. So even though surplus we call it slack. So there is a slack, which means I'm not using all the assembly. So there is some leftover that we call the slack here. Why the binding and the slack, finding slack is important? Because if you want to improve your profit, then do I have to increase the inspection hour? Do I have to increase the assembly hour? Do I have to increase the storage? And you will figure it out. Even you increase the assembly hour, because I'm not using all the assembly hours. So if you increase the assembly hour available, you cannot improve your profit. But since I'm using all the inspection hour and all the storage area, so if you want to improve your profit, you have to increase your available inspection hour and storage area. Otherwise, you cannot improve your profit. Okay, well, I will discuss this thing one more time when I will show you the Excel computer examples.